Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Social Selling Made Simple. I am Matt Johnson, the producer of the show, and I'm here because we're sharing a very special appearance that your host, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, appeared with Lawrence Watkins of the Black Business School. And she appeared on a podcast interview where Lawrence interviewed Marky about her background in real estate, and they talked about some of the lessons that she learned. And it was such a great episode, such a great conversation that we wanted to share that here for the audience of Marky's podcast and really dive into a little bit of Marky's story and the background, some of the things that you might not know, because we haven't really covered them here on the podcast quite yet, because a lot of times we spend so much time talking about just the tactics, the tools, the techniques of marketing and selling more homes and all that fun stuff. And of course, we love talking about that, and that's Marky's passion. But if you want to get to know Marky better, which I encourage you to do, make sure that you follow her, friend her on Facebook, get all of her social media content, and see her living and walking what she talks, right? So when she talks about social media, when she talks about selling and serving people and impacting people, she walks the walk just as much as she talks the talk. But I would love for you to connect with her on social media. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure that you subscribe on the various podcast apps like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that fun stuff. But I'll let Lawrence take it away. That's the podcast host that we're featuring today, and he's going to kick off the conversation with Marky. And I really encourage you, pay attention and invest into this episode, because I know you're going to get a lot of that, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube? How is everyone doing this Wednesday afternoon? I am your host today, Lawrence Watkins. I am the president and chief operating officer of Boyce Watkins Enterprises and the Black Business School. Today, I have a very special guest for those who are interested in gaining wealth and building wealth through the practice of real estate. So I'm here with Marky Lemons-Ryhal. And Marky is a real estate keynote speaker, and she has a wide variety of expertise as it relates to the entire industry in general. But today she's going to just share with you her story in terms of being in the real estate industry for about 20 years. She's going to share her story in terms of how she got in and just the things that she's learned. And then she's also going to share with you how you can get in the industry as well. So Marky, how are you doing today?
It is a wonderful day in the world of real estate, and I am elated to be with you this afternoon.
Well, we're very, very happy to have you. So, Marky, can you give the audience a little bit of background in terms of who you are? And why should they be listening to you about this subject?
Well, I'm Marky Lemons-Ryhal, real estate keynote speaker. I am a proud Chicago fifth-generation entrepreneur. I was born and raised in the restaurant business here on the south side of Chicago. My family happens to own Chicago's oldest barbecue restaurant, and for several years, we sold more pork rib tips than anyone. I went through a bitter lawsuit with my family. I owned the trademark right for our business. My father's sister sued me. I countersued them. They had to buy me out. At the time, I already had an advanced degree. I had already taught on a collegiate level, and I did not want to go back to school. And so the person who had originated my loans for me to buy and sell real estate throughout the years, I bought my first property at 24. He invited me to come and be a loan originator. So I came into the world of real estate in 1999 as a loan originator. I then decided I would make more money as a real estate broker. So I'm one of few people who never attended pre-license school. I took the broker's exam. I've always been a broker. And I also decided I would hold my own license right out the gate. I will tell you, hindsight is everything, dumbest decision ever. So I've learned everything the hard way. My mentor told me to go into the real estate education side of the business at the same time that I was going on to the board of directors for the Chicago Association of Realtors. And I've stuck to education ever since 2006. So I'm a former real estate educator of the year. I've received the President's Award. I've received the Realtor Achievement Award. And I have accumulated over 50 real estate related licenses, designations, and certifications.
Wow, 50? So
over 50, yeah.
I didn't even know there were 50 certifications in the industry in general. So now that's so you probably got them all.
Yeah, everything except for the CCIM. So I specialize in residential real estate. CCIM is for those who are in commercial real estate. but the majority of my holdings are licenses because I can teach continuing education in every state in this country. Some states mandate that you have an instructor's license in that state.
Got you. Got you. Yeah. So, it's interesting. I was listening to your experience and, how you got into the industry as an originator first and then moving on to a broker. One thing I've noticed in real estate, that there's so much jargon, there's so many different titles, there's just so many different roles within the industry. So for the people who want to, really get into the industry, can you just explain some of those roles that you just mentioned? Like, what is a loan originator? What is a broker? What are some of these key roles that people need to know about?
So I'm going to start with the real estate side. First of all, every state has their own license and they go by different names. So when I came into the world of real estate, most states had a licensed real estate agent and a licensed broker. Over time, in order to increase the mandate, in order to come into the industry, we've now have some states have no sales agents. Like Illinois, we are a broker-only state. So you come in as a licensed broker, and then you can obtain what is considered a managing broker's license. Some states call them transactional brokers. So each state decides the name of the licensing category. So I always ask people, who's your broker of record? That would be the boss, the person in charge. Or who's your sponsoring broker? That's the person who holds your license and you're able to practice real estate under. But here's what's unique about real estate. If you have a license, any of your real estate related activities, that means that the person who holds your license, they're entitled to compensation. And all money is supposed to funnel through them. So I know that we're going to talk about investing. And I told you, I don't know if everybody needs a real estate license because they look at the closing table at the closing statement and they like, oh, I want that 3% or that 5% or that 6%. And so you have the broker. They're going to either be a listing agent or a buyer's agent. And that is, a listing agent is the person who works with the seller. They have the listing. They 9 times out of 10, except for the state of Georgia, are going to put that listing into the MLS, the multiple listing service. And then you have a buyer's agent who represents the buyer. Sometimes that listing agent will act as a dual agent. All states do not allow you to act as a dual agent. That means they're going to represent the seller and the buyer in the same transaction, and they make all the money. But what's kind of interesting about real estate, even though I can be compensated to sell real estate, I don't have to be your agent, but I have to be licensed. So I could do what's called no agency or ministerial acts contingent upon the state, and I don't represent you. I don't have a fiduciary responsibility to you, but I can still be compensated. So agency does not equal compensation. And that's just on the real estate sales side, okay? The loan originator is someone who works for the bank or the mortgage company. And generally, they're going to be paid through loan origination fees in order to place potential buyers in the best loan product. They're working with FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. That's another sector. Then you have, in the state of Illinois, what's different is that we use attorneys to close real estate transactions. Some states don't use attorneys. So if you're noticing, I'll keep saying contingent upon the state, because no 2 states are alike, and every single state has different rules and regulations.
Yeah, so if you have all these rules and regulations that are different, because I was going to ask about that, right? So this state's doing things this way, and this other state is doing things in a completely different way. So when people are getting started in real estate, is it better just to start in one particular state, or is it better to spread around from state to state? Is that a challenge that they're going to have to go through?
Well, most agents only have knowledge of one state, one city, one location. So I'm going to tell you this is going to be a business decision. I am anti-hold multiple sales license. I'm licensed as a managing broker in Illinois. I'm also licensed as a broker in Indiana. I know nothing about Indiana. And it hit me that I make money off of referrals to Indiana, but I've never physically sold a property in Indiana. Therefore, because I'm already licensed in Illinois, I can do a referral anywhere in the world and receive a referral fee. It splits your time when you decide that you want to hold multiple state licenses and you can believe in your mind that you can service all the same way. I don't need multiple state licenses. I need one license, and then I make the most money because I've built a global referral network. So I don't take time away from Illinois or Chicago. I find experts in those markets, and I don't deviate my time or my attention. So there are people who they have multiple licenses, and I've noticed they don't make the most money because now they're splitting that time. It might be more advantageous for them to refer that other business out and not get that additional state license to sell.
So that's interesting. So you're recommending that people go deeper in terms of their niche and their market versus trying to expand and try to do, a lot of different things. Because I think in our private call, you mentioned, you mentioned something about niches in terms of niches is what generates the richest in the real estate industry. Talk about that a little bit more.
So I woke up a few years ago and I can pretty much do anything in residential real estate, but my money was funny. My energy was zapped, and I didn't have enough time to date my husband. And I read a book by Gary Keller, who also wrote MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, who's also the founder and CEO of Keller Williams. And the book, there's one quote in that book. It says, be like a postage stamp, stick to one thing until you get there. So I told you I'm a real estate keynote speaker. I only teach social media and technology to realtors. The more niched I become, the more informed I am, and the more money that I can charge. When I'm looking at our top producers, and in the city of Chicago, we call them platinum level realtors. These are people who are selling upwards of $75 million in homes every single year. So they're making their real estate, them and their team, they're making $2.5 million or more in commissions. Every last one of them is niched. When I go to a Google map, I can tell you exactly where they do business. I can even tell you the property type they specialize in. Some of them are high-rise condos only. Some of them are new construction. Some of them are REO sales, but they are highly niched. And when I hear agents tell me I go everywhere, I can almost promise you I can look at their numbers and they're never going to be that platinum level realtor, because those who are selling at the rate of 50 million or more, I would actually say 20 to 25 million or more, they're all niched, every last one of them.
That's interesting because, that's something that is recommended in just about every business, is the importance of going niche, especially when you're getting started, since you only have limited resources. And something else that you mentioned earlier in the conversation I wanted to get back to you as well is you mentioned that the worst mistake that you made in the beginning was getting your brokerage license. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it wasn't the fact that I got the broker's license. It was the fact that first of all, I did not go to pre-license school. I got the broker's license and without any knowledge decided it was a good idea to be my own broker of record.
Now, why was that a mistake?
Because what people don't understand is that pre-license school does not teach you how to sell real estate. So I'm handling a person's biggest transaction, but I don't have any idea what I'm doing. It's only through the grace of God that I've never been reprimanded or have gotten in trouble. But I'm going to tell you the greatest blessing. I knew that I didn't know anything. So I strategically put myself around people who were smarter than me. I instantly started taking classes to earn those designations and certifications because I knew that I did not know how to sell real estate. So people will lie, borrow, cheat, and steal to go to real estate school because they believe that that license is going to enable them to be great at sales. A real estate license in any state that I've seen is all about consumer protection. It does not teach you how to sell real estate. So imagine I didn't go to school. I was just a great test taker. And I'm handling a person's biggest transaction, and I haven't surrounded myself with anyone to coach, mentor, or educate me on the process. So I'm very good at being self-taught, but I know I didn't know nothing.
Yeah. So how did that make you feel? Right. So you were just starting out, you got your brokerage license, and now you're handling a person's largest transactions that they're probably ever going to make. What was going through your mind? What were you thinking at that time?
Well, one, I was thinking that I had a son that I needed to maintain the lifestyle in which he had become accustomed to, and I was an unwed parent. And so my first thing is take care of this child. But in my mind, I never want to do anything to anyone that I don't want done to me. And so you heard what I said. I instantly started taking classes and surrounding myself with people who were smarter than me. My first year as a dummy, I did $12 million in production. I was in the top 10% of realtors in the city of Chicago. And so I've done a very good job of consistently educating myself because I want to be smart. I want to do the right thing by the people who do business with me. So I was very delicate in how I handled all transactions, but I had no problems asking questions and taking heed to the information that was given to me. I probably didn't sleep that whole first year because I'm sitting up in the middle of the night and I'm putting files together and I'm reviewing every addendum, every rider, every contract. I'm looking at all the fill in the blanks because I do not like not knowing. But everybody's not like that. A lot of people definitely do this for the money and they have a bad reputation and people don't want to do business with them.
Got you. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, you were thrown into this, I guess fire, right away in terms of.
I walked in. I wasn't thrown in. I walked in bold.
Yeah,
I was in real estate. Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. And I think a lot of other people, though, they have the opposite problem. A lot of people when they're trying to start a business or get into something that's new, they hesitate. They take their time. And they never make that leap, make that jump. So if someone wanted to get into the industry, two questions, I guess, is, what should they be doing right now to prepare themselves to do so? And what is the best avenue for someone to get into the real estate industry if they're interested in it?
So let's go with the first one. I'm amazed at how many people don't understand that coming into the world of real estate, every aspect of it, if you're going to be 1099, right, you're self-employed. There's a lack of research done. There's a lack of business planning done for entrepreneurs. So if this is what you say you want, I need people to sit down and start looking at the numbers. That's how you come up with niches inside of the market, right? And so people come in every single day and they have no idea about lead generation. They don't know what the numbers look like. They just know they boy Bob, I'm making this name up, just made $50,000 on a deal. But they have no planning and they're not trying to plan. So that often is sickening to me. You want to research. If this is what's going to change you and your family's life, then you need to know about it. You go to school for how many years in order to get a high school diploma, right? That teaches you what to do what in life, right? And so they need to start doing research and develop a business plan. How you come into the business is really contingent upon what that business plan says. So we talked about this the other day. There are people who want to be investors. Okay. And they also have done a real estate transaction and they realize that the real estate agent, and let me say this, I got to give you my disclaimer. Due to antitrust, there are no standard averages or normal when it comes to compensation in the world of real estate. Now that I've said that, so let's say they look at a closing statement and they realize that 6% of the sales price is going to be split between agents, right? And it's $100,000 deal. The first thing, instead of the $50,000, $60,000, let's say they just made, they thinking about the $6,000. I've had a lot of investors who've come to get a real estate license who never go get a license because what they realize is that a real estate license is about the consumer, not you as an investor. And now they have a fiduciary responsibility to the client. And when I say fiduciary, I owe every client an old car. I have to be obedient as long as it's in the scope of the law. I owe them undivided loyalty. I have to put their needs and wants before my own. I owe them full disclosure. I owe them confidentiality. I owe them accounting. Sometimes you'll hear accountability, and I owe them reasonable skill and care. But as an investor, I'm trying to make XYZ dollars. So they won't go get that license because they don't want to have to owe anyone an old car. But that goes back to the business plan. So the business plan should dictate what you're going to do. But there's no other industry that you can come in and manage a person's largest purchase or sale of their lifetime, and contingent upon the state. Once again, it dictates the amount of hours, but I'm going to say between 50 and 150 hours, you get to manage this process for them, and you can make an above average income. So between selling real estate, loan origination, title, home inspector, surveyor, appraisal. My friend Lamont, he does nothing but ADT closings, and he's now the champagne closer. Home warranty company. All of these have positions that one could fill in the world of real estate, and that's just scratching the surface.
And to do those, do you need a license to do all those things, or no?
Let me come back. So to be a up until probably 2000, well, let me say this, loan originators is contingent upon the state. And if you work for the bank, a lot of people who originate loans at a bank aren't licensed. They make the licensing for people who work for mortgage brokers. Okay. So in the state of Illinois, you don't need a license if you're originating loans for the bank, but you do need one if you work for a mortgage broker.
Can you tell me what a mortgage broker is? Tell the audience, like, what is a mortgage broker?
So a mortgage broker is an entity that goes and gets licensed to the state that basically, as a mortgage broker, I might not loan my own money, but I am wholesaling essentially loans back to a bigger entity like a Chase or PNC Mortgage. And I am paid money to pair potential buyers' loan products with these companies, and I can be compensated. But I don't work for the organization. I have access to multiple organizations that I can facilitate this loan through. So
Gotcha.
Banks, but let's come back a second. So when you look at banks, most of them are going to originate FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac products. But every bank has an overlay rule to the FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So what do I mean by that? FHA says that you can come in and buy a property 2 years after the discharge of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But I might go through one lender who will say 2 years is okay. I might go through another lender that has an overlay and they have a 3-year rule. I could go to the third lender that has an overlay and it might be 5 years. So even though you see Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA have rules and regulations, they do not loan money directly. They are a product that's insured, and banks, that makes banks want to give you that money because they know they're going to have some protection to recoup some of their money. So the bank gives out the money. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, they act as a conduit insurance guarantor of the money. Okay. And so a mortgage broker basically has access to all of the banks, as opposed to just working for one organization. So they tend to have more products and services.
Got you. So a mortgage broker is only needed if you need a loan, right? So if you don't need a loan, you can buy something cash. You don't need a mortgage broker in that case.
You don't go to the bank. You don't go to the broker. What you do is you make sure you got the funds available. You can wire the money, or you can get a cashier's check contingent upon the amount. And your cost to do your loan is substantially less when you have cash, because you're not paying origination fees. Heck, you don't even have to have an appraisal, okay? But if I am going to, so we talked about appraisals, and appraiser does need to be licensed, but appraisals basically guarantee the asset for the organization given the money. So anytime you're dealing with a mortgage broker or a bank, they're going to assess that asset before they give their money out. And the appraiser is the person who does that. So loan originators, if they're working for a mortgage broker, are licensed. Real estate brokers, sales agents, leasing agents are licensed. Let's see here. Home inspectors are licensed, at least in the state of Illinois. Surveyors, I know that they have education, not sure if they're licensed. Who else? Oh, people who work for the home warranty company, that's more of a sales position. They are not going to be licensed. I believe in people in the ADT, they have some type of licensing requirement in order to do those security systems. So there's a lot of licensing in the world of real estate.
It sounds like it.
License. Everybody got a license.
Is it the same license or different licenses that you go get?
Everybody has a different, so that's how I have 50 of them. So every state wants a little fee for their license. Generally, not every year. Some of them are like every 2 to 3 years, and they're all different licenses.
So like different tests that you take or whatever.
Oh, yes. A different test for every last one of them. And let me say this, you don't always have to take a test. Once I became a licensed broker and so my licenses at one time, just in the state of Illinois, I was a licensed broker, a licensed loan originator, a licensed pre-licensed instructor, and a licensed continuing education instructor. Because I've already done this here in my state, now when I go to get another license, real estate education license, not real estate license, real estate education license, they use all of my teaching experience. I have not had to take yet another test to get another real estate educator's license. But I'm glad you asked this question. Let's say there are, I think, 9 states right now that Illinois has reciprocity with. So that means that I don't have to take state exams to become licensed as a sales agent or a broker are broken down by state and federal. So there are 9 states that I don't have to take the federal portion anymore. For those 9 states, I would only have to take the state portion. So I have to understand their state rules and regulations. Outside of that 9, the other 41, I would need to go to school and go through their entire licensing process.
Wow. Okay.
And most of your Sunbelt states, they don't have reciprocity. So you have to know the rules and regulations there, and you have to go and take their exam.
Got you. So that's a lot of work. So that's another reason why you probably, wouldn't want to focus on Illinois or Indiana by itself. instead of going through all of that. Yeah.
I had this conversation with myself last year when I renewed my Indiana broker's license. It was only $62, right? But I was instantly pissed because I said to myself, now, why did you renew that license when every dime you've made in this state ever has been through referral, and you don't need a license to get a referral? I don't need their license to get a referral, but I do need to have a license somewhere. Just want to clarify that.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And, you're the expert on, all of this stuff, or, just different pieces of the puzzle of the real estate game. And I want to talk more about, I guess, the license in terms of being an agent, because that's who you work a lot with is, social media strategies for real estate agents. What's the benefit of entering the real estate industry as an agent versus, let's say as an investor or something else?
Probably the barriers to entry. So you can come in, we got the licensing course to get your license, not to start your real estate business, but just to get your licenses, right? And to take the test, probably hits you right at $1,000. As an investor, I'm going to need some down payment, contingent upon how I'm going to buy. So there are a lot of get rich quick in the world of real estate. And I tell people, generally, you need to have something. Okay. So either you need to have some credit, you need to have some money, or you need to have some friends with some money. All right. I don't have any of it. You got a lot of get rich quick books out here. I will tell you, most of them are not going to work. All right. And so being a agent is probably the lowest cost and time to come in, because if I come in as an investor, I need to now go and take classes, right? I need to understand, am I going to wholesale? Am I going to buy tax certificates? How am I going to be an investor in real estate? So I still need the education, right? And then I need some money, because now you're talking about buying, rehabbing, doing something, and you're going to need more than that $1,000.
Right. Yeah, I got it. And because people are always just concerned in terms of, where you should really get started. So if you were getting started as an agent, you're saying also that you get that education along the way, to where if you do become an investor, you may not, waste as much money trying to learn the process. Do you think that's true?
Well, yeah, because I came in as a loan originator.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became a licensed broker. Then I became a licensed real estate educator. However, let's back up. Right after I became a broker, I also started to flip houses. But it was the experience as a loan originator. It was the experience from me already owning real estate. It was the experience from me being on the real estate side that cut that learning curve. But also at the time, I had an ex-boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend was a contractor. I went and made him a GC so that I could trust my contractor on my renovation of my flips. So it was a team effort for us to get these projects done. Then my cousin, he is a certified financial analyst. He understood all the numbers. He went and secured the money. So he went and got us $75,000. So we had $75,000. He's a certified chartered financial analyst. My ex was my GC. I made him a GC, and I was a licensed loan originator and a broker. And we made $77,000. We actually netted $77,000 on our first rehab project, and that was after I paid my contractor.
Wow! And that was on your first deal?
That was the first one. I tell everybody, ain't no check like a rehab check, baby. Yeah, that's probably one of the bigger, except for me selling my own real estate. But yeah, that's one of the biggest checks that in one pop I got. And we made that in less than 90 days.
Wow. So you made $77,000 in 90 days. Somebody.
I need you to understand all the education, though, that went into that process. Right. So I'm already licensed as a loan originator. I'm already licensed as a broker. I've already closed godly probably over $100 million in real estate transactions.
Mm-hmm.
My ex had already rehabbed about 6 houses before he became my GC on my projects. So we brought in all this knowledge together. I've done a very good job, and very few things do I bring cash to the table. I leverage the education and training in order to make money.
Got you. Yeah, no, that's wonderful, right? And that's $77,000, but 20 years ago when you were just getting started, that you were doing that. And you hit on a very important point that I think a lot of people may not know how to do, and that's the concept of building real estate teams. So can you talk about the importance of teamwork and finding good people to work with you when it comes to the real estate game?
Teamwork makes the dream work, but I believe in a concept together, everyone achieves more. So not only do I believe in being niched, I definitely believe in sharing the pie. Okay. So a lot of people, they're like this. If there's nothing out, there's nothing in. I have a real estate, people call it a team. I have a real estate group. So I have 16 people in my real estate group. From that real estate group, I get an override on their real estate transactions up to $10,000 each for each of the people. So that's another potential $160,000 a year, right? Well, I like to surround myself with people who are smarter, more gregarious, and outgoing than me. And I like a mindset, and that is they're practicing the secret. We're talking about the law of attraction. And so on my team, one of my teams is actually in the top 3 agents in our office right now. Now, she is a city planner. So I have a city planner. I have a VP of a community development corporation, because each of them bring a specialty to the whole. And we leverage all of our connections and all of our knowledge. Not one person knows everything, but together we're working and we are coming up with different strategies in order to secure more listings. We just got a new organization hired us. We'll sell 33 houses for them over the course of the next 3 years. I don't believe that any one of us could have went in there and got that job. It was 3 of us that went and got that job because each of us brought a different element to the total pie. So you want teams. You want great people. You don't want to be the smart. And here's a problem that I often see. We need to be the smartest person. No, you don't want to be the smartest person among idiots. You want to be the dummy among smart folks. That means you're always learning something.
Yeah, and I agree. That's my philosophy too. So that's one of the reasons I love working at the Black Business School, and just bringing in all these wonderful people who are just way more knowledgeable and smarter than me on so many different things, and it makes life a lot easier and more fun because you're always learning something new. So let's see, third Green Burns says that you have a squad, and I agree. Like, you have squad over there of your real estate team. Squad goals.
Squad goals, baby.
Squad goals. When someone's building out their team, tell us like who they should really focus on building out first. Like, what positions of their team should they be building out first?
So, contingent upon which area of real estate you're coming into, oftentimes as a real estate broker, we're going to either go get admin support contingent upon the dollar volume, or we're looking for a buyer's agent. And the reason is that if you have the listings, you're going to automatically attract more buyers. So I'm hearing two different strategies here. A lot of people, they build out that admin back-end support, and then they go get their buyer agent. Okay. Some people, they go get the buyer agent. But think about this. At the moment that you're building out a team, one of the ways to ensure that your team does not leave you, that they stay with you, is you need to provide them with leads. And you want to provide them with at least 50% of their business leads, because in the future, it makes it hard for them to leave you. But you want them to, one, build rapport, create their own database. Okay. And so this is not one size fits all, but for me, it was building out the admin person first, because I was doing well enough to build out that admin side. And then I brought in buyer agents.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because I've been reading a lot of books, talking about lenders, getting a good lender on your team or just in your network.
So come back. So that's my selling team, right? Now we're talking about building out, I would call it my network, not a team per se, because we don't work for the same company. Right. So inside of there, you need to have more than one lender. Okay. It's because one lender is not going to solve all of the problems. But think about this. When you're niched, you kind of understand the needs and wants of those communities. So I'm on the Chicago South Side. I tell people all the time, you do not hear me talking about jumbo mortgages or luxury real estate, because it's a thimble of the Chicago South Side business. What you hear me talking about is 203K purchase rehabs. You hear me talking about grants and down payment assistance. You hear me talking about no money down programs, MMRP, which is micro markets, where the city of Chicago gives a $15,000 non-refundable grant. Well, one person doesn't do a good job at all those products. So I have my 203K experts. I have my hard money loan or non-bankable loan person. I have my FHA person. I have my grant person. So I have about 10 lenders that I refer business to, because not one lender can solve the South Side problems. And that doesn't even include somebody who specializes in jumbo or has a special condo project, or another lender that focuses on doctors. So you want to have multiple, not one lender, multiple lenders in this, your group or your referral network. You got to have you a couple of good home inspectors. You need to have you don't need an appraisal, because the bank is going to order the appraisal. But back in the day, we had our own appraisers that we like to refer business to. You need a home stager. You need a photographer. Okay. But some of those you only need one of. The lender, you need multiple.
Got you. So you need all these different pieces. How did you go about finding all these different pieces to your team?
So because I came out of the lending side of the business, I already knew who were the good loan originators. Okay. But I also knew who the good appraisers were, because I was already originating loans. I came to find out who the good home inspectors were. So I remember one time I referred a friend to a guy I grew up with. He was a home inspector. I saw his report, how he did work. I was like, oh, he's horrible. I actually bought that buyer a second home inspection because my boy, I thought, did a lousy job. And first thing I think that you always want your clients to have if you represent the buyer is the best home inspection ever. It ain't your house. And if it's a raggedy house, I believe I'm not telling my clients to not buy the raggedy house. I'm telling them they need to pay the raggedy house price. So we need, no, I'm serious. I'm not telling you not to buy this house, but I'm telling you that in its as is condition, you should not pay this amount of money. So there were some people who I learned from the loan origination side that I brought over with me to the sales side. And over time, I've developed other relationships like with the Mary Richardson. So I have me a auction specialist, Danielle Pierce. I know a tax specialist. And so these are people who are ethical. And that's my number. I don't care how good you are. If I can't trust you, I'm not doing business with you. So people who I know they provide value, they educate you, whether they make money off of you or not, because they just come from contribution. These other parts of the puzzle have kind of just started to fill in, but I'm sure of who I'm surrounding myself by that I can call people and get great referrals. And they kind of know how I am at this point. So they're going to say, Marky, this person is great, but let me tell you the downside of working with them. If you get a referral from me, I will tell you this person does so and so, but their follow-up is horrible. So if follow-up is important to you, don't call them. Mm-hmm. But they'll get the deal done.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So really a lot of it came from your experience from previous work that you've done. And then just over time, being in the industry and meeting people and building up those relationships and building up those networks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
as time changes, you need different experts. So one of my latest experts I've added is in the state of Illinois, you can hold real estate in trust. Well, my mother-in-law passed away, I think it's 2-3 years ago, and her real estate was in trust to my husband, made it the smoothest transaction possible because nothing had to go through probate. And so Jules Mezer, she's the overseas trust for Chicago Title and Trust. I love her presentation. She's direct. So now I'm preaching to people, look, not only do you need an attorney, you need to call Jules because you need to buy in trust, especially if confidentiality is important. Let's say you don't want people to know that you own it. So if you're a police officer, if you are a judge, these are the reasons why you would want to put that property into a trust. So that's somebody I recently added for that extra level of protection.
Got you. That's interesting. Yeah, we have to get Jules on the channel.
Oh, you got to get Jules on. Jules is thebomb.com. Yep.
Wonderful. Yeah. So let's talk more about you though, right? So you've been in the game 20 years this year. What are the most important things that you've learned in the industry that someone just starting out should really know?
It's a very small world and people talk. You want to think about what you want your brand to look like, and you want to start to align yourself early. What I've learned over time, because real estate is a world where everybody wants a mentor, but there aren't a lot of mentoring opportunities in the world of real estate. There are a lot of coaching and consulting, but there's not a lot of mentoring. One thing that I've learned that we don't do enough as brown people, okay, is that we do not volunteer enough. I have gotten access to every CEO, board of directors of numerous real estate entities because I volunteer. And when you're volunteering with a person and you riding on the elevator together, or you make sure you sit next to them in the boardroom and you lean over and you ask them a question, they're not going to deny you information because you are being of service with them. So because we're talking to my people, I need you to volunteer more. Know who you want to be like and you want information from. Find out how they're spending their weekends and what organizations are important to them. Go volunteer with them. And I promise you, you can pick their brain and ask them anything you want to know. And I'm consistently telling people this, and they don't want to do it. But I still do it till this day because I'm a little thimble. I'm right down here. The people who I want information from when I'm volunteering, they don't mind giving it up.
Wonderful. So yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree in terms of,
You
just
weren't
getting.
thinking about that. You didn't think that was going to be my answer.
Yeah,
did
no,
you?
I didn't. I didn't think that was going to be the answer. But now that you mentioned it, I do agree in terms of, service, right? Just as long as you are serving your community, serving yourself, or serving, others, things really come back to you in terms of who you have the opportunity to meet, in those types of, in those types of scenarios. And not the fact that you should do it to meet people, but it's definitely a benefit, to the process.
Let me throw this out there too. Another thing is join your local chamber of commerce, because it's going to bring you the most visibility quickly. And so everything that I'm saying is about you giving of yourself. Okay. So once again, nothing out, nothing in. At the moment you open yourself up, people will pour into you. And I don't care if you don't have any money, you're not making any money. They are always looking for volunteers. That is how you're going to navigate and get those nuggets and be able to ask those questions that normally you would have to pay someone in order to get that information.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that too, because I think for us as like the Black Business School, we've done things on the internet so much that we forget sometimes that there's a real world out there. Right. In terms of like local opportunities. Yeah. Please tell us.
So in real estate, when we think about conversions on the internet, a lead, you're going to get a 1 in 50 conversion. If you meet that person face to face, you're going to go to 1 in 6. So I tell people secret agents don't get found, but you want to take that online relationship offline, because you'll see a substantially higher conversion rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the things I learned today is real estate is hyper local. There's a lot of red tape in real estate too. But at the same time, if you do things right, you can make $70,000 checks, but you have to really be educated and know the right people to make that happen. So, Marky, can you tell the audience about what you do in terms of your products, out there, just in case people want to, purchase from you?
Okay, well, first thing, I have a private Facebook group called Real Estate Live. It is for those who are in real estate. So you got to have a built out profile or we won't let you in. And then tomorrow, which is a great day, I am launching Social Selling Made Simple. Go sign up. Make sure that you're listening to my podcast. And then we also have the Real Estate Digital Marketing Certification. So I teach realtors exclusively and provide real estate education so that they can help grow their business. So I'm more for the real estate person, but Social Selling Made Simple by Marky is going to be on iTunes and Stitcher.
Wonderful. Where can they go buy your courses? Where do they do that?
So the courses are, I have a course over on Thinkific called One Quick Video Equals Online Success. So
one quick video equals online success. Wonderful.
Yes.
Marky,
I'm Marky Lemons, all across the internet. Connect with me.
Yeah, connect with Marky. She knows her stuff. She was highly recommended by a great friend of mine, another startup owner. And Marky, thank you so much for your time today. If you want to connect with the Black Business School, as always, head over to theblackbusinessschool.com. That's theblackbusinessschool.com. And if you like this video interview with Marky, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and press the thumbs up button because those really matter to us as well. So thank you, everyone, for your time, and you guys have a great day.
All right. And welcome back. Thanks so much for listening to that special podcast appearance with Marky and Lawrence Watkins. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you enjoy the podcast in general, make sure to head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. And if there's a particular episode that you really enjoyed or maybe a guest that you really liked, give them a shout out in your review. We love to pass on that kind of positive feedback to the people that we feature and have conversations with on the podcast. And I hope that you enjoyed every episode, and make sure to share it with your fellow agents and realtor friends so that we can all attract more clients online, sell more homes, and serve more people. So thanks again for all of your time, your effort, and attention that you invest in the show. We so appreciate it. And I hope you have a great week until the next episode, and we'll see you then.